All right, everybody. So thank you for watching WooCommerce University. We're just getting started. We're just getting set up. I have just updated all of my license keys for my plugin stack here. You can see just a quick recap. The Beaver Builder plugin. I have the agency version. That's what you're going to need to buy, either the agency or the pro version. You get the Beaver Themer for free. You get the Power Pack for Beaver Builder for an additional small cost, Ultimate Add-ons for Beaver Builder for an additional small cost, and the WooPack for Beaver Builder for an additional small cost. Now you're going to see this message. Please install and activate WooCommerce plugin to use WooPack for Beaver Builder. But you can ignore that until we actually get to the step of installing WooCommerce. So what I just did though is I went into settings, and then settings, Power Pack, UABB, that's Ultimate Add-ons, and Beaver Builder. That's where you enter in all your license keys. So when you enter in the license key and activate it, you're all set, good to go. And then you get the automatic updates. So you see this little updated, it'll notify you when there are new updates available. You don't always have to update them, but generally you're going to be pretty safe just going ahead and making the updates. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is look at just an overall view of the WordPress admin dashboard, just so you can kind of get acquainted with everything going on. You're going to see WPEngine up here if you chose WPEngine. If you chose Bluehost or GoDaddy, then you'll see the equivalent of the logo here. The dashboard is going to be the main screen that you see when you log in. Basically, posts are what we call a dynamic content module, which just means that they can be pulled in and categorized, and they can be organized by tags and dynamically pulled in by different modules throughout your site. Media is your media gallery. Pages are your static pages. Comments are where the comments, if you have them enabled, are going to be stored so that you can either ignore them, approve them, deny them, delete them, whatever. Appearance is going to be where you're going to go in and manage your theme, the customization options of your theme, widgets and menus, which I'll go over in a little bit. Beaver Builder is where you're going to be able to go in and create what I was kind of explaining earlier are navigation menus as well as footer menus and any other global element that you want to be on your site. So, and it also is where you are going to be able to save different elements that you create so that you can load them in later and reuse them. Plugins we've already gotten familiar with. Users are where you can go add new users to your site. And then tools and settings, I'm going to go over right now. So under settings, there are a few key things that you're going to want to keep in mind. Now, under general settings, this is where you're going to put the actual name of your site. So if we were building WooCommerce University by data-driven design, we would actually type that in here. Now, tagline doesn't really show up anywhere once you're up and running. So I just typically copy and paste the site title into tagline. Everything else you can keep the same here, although if you wanted to set your time zone to the correct time zone, you could. And everything else you can keep the same. You don't need to make any other changes here. However, I do want to go over a couple other important things about the settings. So under writing, this is where you would manage any type of email, any type of custom email settings, but we're going to ignore that for now. Under reading is an important one, search engine visibility. So if you're using any managed WordPress host, it should have the discourage search engines from indexing this site checked if you're still in a staging URL. So the WPEngine equivalent of that is the wootest.wpengine.com. Now, if we were to build out WooCommerceUniversity.com at this site and make that go live at WooCommerceUniversity.com, what we would then want to have happen is after we made our site go live, which is going to be in another lesson, we would want to make sure that discourage search engines from indexing this site box is unchecked, okay? You want to make sure that's unchecked and then save changes. But while you're building the site, you don't necessarily want Google or any search engine to index it, so you want to keep it checked. Now, the other thing here that I want to show you is permalinks. When you set up WordPress from a default standpoint, you get this ugly plain permalink. Now, you may have seen some WordPress sites in the past with really bad URLs for SEO because it's like this question mark and then a page. It's referring to a page number. What you want to do here is you want to change it to post name immediately before you do anything else in terms of building your website. Change it to post name. And then it puts the title of the page by default in the URL, which is more SEO friendly, and it allows you to rename your URLs to be super SEO friendly. Okay, let's go back up to appearance and menus here, because what we're going to do is actually create a page on the site and then make it our home page. Because right now, out of the box, you basically have your first blog post showing up, and then you have these different widgets that are here, and I'm going to show you why this homepage is showing up this way. So right now, you've got under appearance and widgets, you have these basic widgets: search, recent posts, and recent comments. And that's what's pulling these in, right? But we don't necessarily want that to be our website design. So what we're going to do is we can remove these widgets, and we will be able to add certain widgets back later in the design of our site when we want to. So we're going to remove these widgets, kind of clean some things up here. Okay. Now, before we move on, I'll give you a little bit of a tour of the widgets. So by default, WordPress has different things that you can pull in to posts or custom post types. And this is the general overview of them. Now, you can do things like, I want to put an image over on a widget, and I want it to be in our primary sidebar widget, for example. So if I would have selected image here and then if I would have clicked add widget, it would show up here. And it would give me the opportunity to put a photo there. So widgets are a dynamic way of managing your content on your WordPress site. We're not going to focus too much on widgets, but I did want to show them to you. The other one is menus. So menus is where you actually manage your navigation structure and what gets put in the navigation structure. And as you can see here, we don't have any menus. So what we're going to do first is actually create a couple different pages. We already have a sample page. What I like to do is rename the sample page to home and change the slug, which is the URL, to home. So that's what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to click update. And so now we've got home, we've got privacy policy. Let's go ahead and use their privacy policy template to make our privacy policy page go live. It was a draft, we're going to make it live. And then let's just add a couple of other pages here. Most sites have a contact page and an about page. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to ignore the WordPress editor because we're going to use the Beaver Builder, or the data-driven designer, as you'll see it referred to throughout WooCommerceUniversity. But it is essentially the same thing. So we're going to do contact. So we have a contact page. We're going to go back into our dashboard. And now we're going to create an about page. Notice all I'm doing to create the pages right now is just giving them a title, and that's it. That's all you have to do to create your initial pages. So let's stop there. I've got about, contact, home, and privacy policy. Looks like this one is not published yet, so we can go here and change the status from draft to published, and then it'll be published. Okay, so now we've got it. Now, to create a menu, go to Appearance Menus, and we're going to name this our main menu. Select the pages we want in our main menu. We'll put home, about, and contact just for now. By the way, I never recommend putting home actually in the main menu based on data. It says that the site doesn't perform as well when you do that, but that's okay. Just for this example, we're going to do that. So now we have a main menu, and we have saved the main menu. So now, if we want to use that main menu as our header menu, we can select it under Manage Locations, select Header Menu and Main Menu. And now, when we refresh our site, you'll actually see Home, About, and Contact. But now we still have this dynamic feed of this blog post coming in. So how do we make the page that we created here as our home page? How do we make that our home page? What we need to do is we need to go into appearance and then customize. And this is where you can customize your global theme options for Beaver Builder or whatever theme you're using. I hope you're using Beaver Builder and the data-driven designer, or we call it the data-driven designer because we've basically just branded it, but it's the Beaver Builder theme. So we hope you're using that. But if you're not, you would actually still go into customize and you would see some of these similar settings. So if you're rolling your eyes at the fact that I'm using this one theme and you might be using another theme, chances are you're still going to get a lot of the value out of this. So you would go to settings and then you'd go to homepage settings, and instead of your latest post, click a static page. Then you're going to see which page do you want to make your home page. So let's select home. So let's just click publish. And now when we refresh the page, we actually have a page that is a static page. Now in future lessons, we're going to get into much more about the Beaver Builder and how to design pages. But for now, I'll just basically show you that you can click Beaver Builder from the front end to open up the page editor and click, if you'd like to click yes, please, and take a tour, by all means, please do. I'm going to go ahead and click no thanks. And then you can see that it's a row and element based system, just like any other drag and drop editor. So if you've used WP Bakery, if you've used Divi, if you've used Enfold, if you've used any drag and drop editor based theme, you would be very familiar with the concept of Beaver Builder. And if you haven't, you can pick up on this very easily. So it's row based and then module based. And the rows are going to be what you use to essentially design your layout. And the modules are going to be essentially what you use to customize your content. Now, what you can do is you can also load in some of the pre-designed templates that come with Beaver Builder. So if you were worried about having to design from scratch, you do not have to design this from scratch. There are landing page templates and there are content page based templates. So if you just wanted to kind of follow the content based templates and load in the about page and then some services pages and different things like that, you could actually do that. So just for the sake of kind of getting started quickly here, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to do a landing page for the home page here, and I'm going to select home and click replace existing layout. And so now, boom, we've already got basically a website designed, and you can change it around by hovering over any of the elements and then clicking the settings, which is the wrench, and going in there and swapping out an image, swapping out a heading, swapping out the text, changing the button color, the button link, and all that stuff. But before you do anything else, click done and then publish. And then I always refresh so that I can see a clean version of what I just created. But now, why do I still see this in the footer? Now remember, these were in my widgets, and so my footer widgets must still be in place, but there's also footer settings. So if I go to my footer settings, I can say footer widget layout on all pages, footer widget style, I can style it there. Footer layout, I can say 1 column, 2 columns. Footer style, and I can even do some footer effects. But if I just want to remove those widgets, I can go back into appearance and widgets. I can just go back into appearance and widgets and then go into my footer widgets in the columns and delete the footer widgets. And then when I do that, I am going to be left with a nice blank looking footer. I have WooCommerceUniversity by Data-Driven Design, which is my site title. And I've got powered by Beaver Builder, which if I want to get rid of that, I can. And I can do that by going into appearance, customize, and then go into footer. Okay, so we've done a pretty good job getting started. on a design for the website, you can see how it can all be coming together from a design standpoint. More on design when we move into actually building out our WooCommerce website together. But for now, we're going to move on to the next lesson, which is our plugin pack, because we are just getting started. We're not even into the WooCommerce part yet, but as you can see, we're getting our site ready with our WordPress setup. We've got our theme. Now let's move on to the rest of our plugins.